But the arrival of Odessa in the spring of 1969 also marked the departure of Robin from the group for a solo career. His first release was the self-produced Saved by the Bell, a song that used a relatively new piece of studio equipment.
I used a drum machine for the first time, which I thought was actually a benefit, especially as a composer, because you didn't have to rely on a drummer all the time to be out there. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's very hard to get a drummer. When you're a composer, you just want to turn on the drum and write. And I had 2 tape machines and came up with Saved by the Bell and the album that it was used on.
Steve, with the amount of technology around in a studio today, drum machines seem slightly archaic. Would it be fair to say that in the late 1960s, though, this was really pioneering stuff?
Yes, it really was. Robin used a device called the Acetone Rhythm Box. Now, this was originally designed for the home organ market. It was launched around 1965. And when you think of the timeline, 1965, I think it's amazing that the Beatles never came across the Acetone Rhythm Box and used it on one of their recordings. They weren't always the first with everything. And in Robin's case, he used a setting called soft rock. So here we have what that beat actually sounds like isolated.
Okay.
And if I now crossfade this rhythm box sound with the original recording, you can hear how it sits in the original record. So the other thing that's very noticeable on this recording is the echo on Robin's voice. Now, this became a trademark sound for Robin and the Bee Gees from almost their first studio sessions in Australia. They discovered it very early on. Bearing in mind, when they started recording, studio effects were very, very limited. And one of the very earliest studio effects is called tape echo. And this is very prominent on some of the early Elvis Presley recordings. It just enhances the vocal in a certain way. What they did was take the Elvis Presley reverb delay echo a stage further and have a slightly bigger delay. I actually do own one of those original echo machines. It's not exactly the brand Robin used, but it's from the same era. So we can recreate the sound of that echo with your voice. So I'm going to hand you over this particular microphone. And this is a vintage mic from the 1950s.
It feels it. It weighs about 4 pounds. And it looks like the sort of mic that Wolfman Jack would have used, or it's a really heavy, like public address mic.
It is. A lot of microphones had general use in those days.
All right, so what does it do to my voice then?
Well, the microphone's plugged directly into the tape machine, so I'm going to turn the tape machine on. There we go.
And that's it speeding up.
Yep. There's different delays. Now, the first example is the short delay, which is very similar to Elvis Presley, and Sam Phillips used to use this a lot on his recordings. So if you talk...
Well, since my baby left me.
Exactly. So you
see. Yes, it does. I'm not going to sing, you're right.
And if you move to the second setting, this is very reminiscent of the Joe Meek recordings, so something like this.
Like he would have done on Telstar, maybe.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly. So I think the Bee Gees loved what it did to their vocal sound, and it's remained a favourite of Robin's, and he continued to use it when he started recording again with his brothers at the start of the 70s.